Robas here playing Borderlands 2. I'm just kidding, guys. It's still me. But I've been pointing out too that I sound like Robas, and let me know in the description or in the comments if I do. I haven't played in a while. So, welcome to my 23rd video, and as you see, I'm not in War Thunder for once, and well, I didn't feel like I wanted to do more War Thunder because it has become so much pay to win, and you kinda, you know, have to pay to do anything real. Like, for example, all of the new premium planes have air-to-air missiles, and the main 3 ones, which they're based off, do not. And yeah,
Stay the hell away from our caravan, people. We're carrying very valuable stuff for Papa Hodunk, and I ain't getting robbed again.
Excuse me. I didn't feel like doing more videos of War Thunder right now, at least. So I'm just gonna play a little bit with Borderlands 2, which is one of my favorite games of all time. And some of you might recognize the game, but I have started to mod the game and I made my own little mod pack. But for now I just have the unofficial community patch and too many to list. So I will just play with this in the background and talk about stuff. So, War Thunder. War Thunder is in a really weird spot right now, where, well, how should I say this? If you don't pay, you will never get to top tier, pretty much. And I suppose you could, in theory, get to top tier, but as I talked a little bit, I exchanged some words with Tech today, and he came up with a number of 80 million RP for getting all things in the game. And if you on average get like 2k without premium account per game, that equals you to like 32,000 games where you do pretty okay. And that's a lot of games, and I don't think anyone have that time to play. And you know, I don't feel the game anymore. It's just like, oh, here's some cool new toys and they will cost you $50 a piece. Unless it's the T2, which will cost you, unless you have all the tier 5 planes already, it will cost you to get all the tier 5 planes, which means that you have to go through a lot of stuff just to get the best plane in the game. And I suppose that's good, so that not that many people have it. But I played one game of top tier air just to see how it was, and there was a full team of T2s versus us, and we, you know, kinda died. And I tried out the radar, and it works great when you keybind it and stuff, and figured out the key bindings, because, well, by default it's Alt-T, I think, which if I hold Alt I can't move anything, because then I move my mouse like separately from the screen. So that didn't work out, so I had to re-keybind everything, and that was great. And then when I finally figured it out, you can play it in a full battle, because there's too many dots for your radar to keep track of, and therefore you lose performance. So my performance went down to 2 frames. And it's very hard, even with a tracking radar, to shoot up things with 2 frames. Like, at best I got like 10 frames, and that's when I looked at the ground. Yeah, that's that. Like, I really find some of the stuff really cool, but for example, the Leopard 2A5, which is the new top dog, can easily be killed by the USSR tanks. And some of, not all of the Americans, but some tier 5 American, like in my old video, M103 can one-shot it. But the Abram and anything that shoots APFSDS and HeatFS cannot do anything. So the trick is, if you shoot on the turret chicks anywhere with an HE shell or a big enough hash shell, which is how I discovered this, you shoot straight through the upper front plate, which is only 45mm. So if you have an HE shell that has more than that, you can hit pretty much anywhere on the chick. And yeah, you hit the ammo and it dies. But if you have an Abram, good luck. Try to hit that turret ring. If you have the MX-40, I don't know. I don't know how good that is. I've heard that it's pretty bad. But at least it's on par with the new Italian tank. And then we have the French helicopters added, which is another 2 million RP, 1 million RP to fully grind out. And well, that's great if you like to fly helicopters with 6 HVAR and a few HGMs and then basically an AK. And yeah. Also, the French premium looks to be better than most of their helicopters, apart from the last one that has air missiles. And there's just a lot of things that is oh yeah, you can get all of these things, but you have to pour your money into it, and the things you can actually unlock is worse than the things you can buy. So I didn't feel like I wanted to play that much anymore, because for me that has played the game for, I don't know, forever. And I unlocked the sabers and I unlocked all of this cool stuff, and then they drop a patch and be oh yeah, you can buy it now. So yeah. So I feel they cater to either rich players, people that can just throw thousands of dollars on the game, just however they like, or to new players. And they will advertise this cool planes and cool tanks, and in the test drive they destroy the test targets. And then someone buy it for $50. And when you bring out a Saber, which used to be the top tier planes, and so on, but then you face T2s at level 100, and those players will destroy you. And if you only have experience of playing a P47 or a biplane before, you're gonna die a lot. And then those money wasn't well spent. And that's that. And same with the XM1. The XM1 is really good if you know how to play it. Well, I don't know, I don't own it. But I've seen people that knows how to play it, and they can destroy it. And same with the L44 and T55AM in extremely good tanks, but you have to pay for them. What? And also the T55 and L44 is 8.7 and not 9.0, so they will stomp on all 7.7 tanks in the game, which is inferior because they are, well, for example, the M60, the first M60, which is 7.7, it has no stabilizer, it has access to the 400mm penetration heat as a tier 4 upgrade, and until you get there, you will have a pretty alright APDS, penning 303, I think. So that's great. And you have hash. You are really sluggish, like really slow. Your turn rate is horrible. Your armor is maybe 120, 200 at the like gunmanlet. And you know, 200 at 7.7. And if you face stuff like the T55AM or the L44. So the thing with the L44 is it doesn't care what armor you have. For example, the mouse can face the okay, not the mouse, the T95 does it. The T95 can face the L44. So the T95 front armor 300 mil, which is pretty strong. L44 pens 415 or something like that. So yeah, that slowish armor that you brought to the battle can just be instantly killed by someone that bought a tank. It's a point and click adventure, and the T55 at the other hand has a weaker gun, but it still shoots APFSDs, which pens like 300 and something, 315, pretty weak for being an APFSDs. But it has ATGMs, which pen 650. And if you bring up something like the mouse with 300mm armor, 650 just, you know, like nothing can really protect against that at that BR. And it's just like, oh yeah, the armor of the T55 got indirectly buffed because of the ammo nerfs of APFSDs and so on. So it has 500 mils of armor, and if you remember that the Type 90 got nerfed to penning 481. So now it can't penetrate the T55, which is a 10.0 tank, cannot penetrate the turret or the add-on armor of a T55AM, which is 8.7. And you think that the 7.7s will be able to penetrate those 500 mils of armor? And also, for example, I have the Centauro. My Centauro, with the stock APDS, cannot penetrate a T55AM from the front. So yeah, that upper front plate is a no-go. That turret is a no-go. There's nothing I can do. It just destroys. And I don't have my turrets. So that's that. Like there's like Skree brought up in his latest video about how Gajin probably has made a lot of money this patch, which has been out for a few hours to a few days, I don't know, something like that. And you know, the amount of like just premium stuff or stuff that like it's hard to explain, but or it's hard to express the feelings of just being like, oh yeah, you are this veteran player that have played for years and you don't even get a skin or a decal or okay, I think you get I found that you get a what was it called? You know where next to your name you can have like Bombardier or something like that. You can have some of those, which great. Now people know you played for a long time. But unless you paid, you're at a disadvantage. And they don't even like, in my opinion, they could have taken stuff that isn't played that much, like heavy tanks, and up their multiplier, so they would be more worthwhile playing. But medium tanks have the highest multiplier and is the best tanks and are the most versatile tanks. And you see where this is going. If you don't play the meta, you are just automatically going to be in a disadvantage. There's no point in playing anything. That's like bombers have been slowly nerfed and now they're pretty useless, especially in Niter. There's only a few exceptions that I can see. And the point of balancing stuff through just like repair cost and ammo cost and stuff like that is just, it's so stupid and so frustrating. Like I often bring up how the one sec. This how the TU4 is 20k cheaper than the B29. And the TU4 might be higher BR, but it also has bigger guns. It has bigger bomb load. And I think it's faster as well. And it's cheaper because balance. And I usually like face. I don't usually face much planes and such because I don't play that much air battles anymore. I've started playing some Japanese rotor planes because they're pretty fun. But it's the game. I pretty much just lost hope for the game, and it feels like the game will just next patch will pump out the M1A2 or the M1A1 with the combat package, which is just era armor, or the DU armor M1A1, which they can now do because they have added this formula, which is good that they made everything standardized. But it also means that they can add any tank or vehicle that doesn't have any research nodes and be like, oh yeah, it has this gun and this velocity and this weight, and now it's in the game. And some of you might think this is great because you can add anything you like, and eventually they will probably add all tanks that ever existed and is going to exist because they can, and you will pay money for it. And their business model is that they shove out these patches every now and then and add like 8 bits of code or lines of code with a texture and charge you $50. You know how much pizza you could eat for that $50? Or how much chocolate you could get, or candy? You could be really unhealthy, and that's up to you. Some of you paid like a lot of money in the first few hours. So if you know you are this person, you are part of the problem of why these patches keep coming. And your premiums that you've seen, which have been moved up now when tier 7 was added, just to, well, they couldn't really tell everyone to just pay out $50 more because that would be too outrageous. So yeah, that's that. I just wanted to get it off my chest, and I hope all of that recorded. And I hope you liked my little gameplay of Borderlands 2. Heavily modded Borderlands 2. I'm gonna stop here. So, as always, have a great day, and tell me if I sound like Robos in the comments, because I don't know. I don't see the likeness, but some people do. It would be fun to find out. So, see you in the next video, and I might do more War Thunder, I'm not sure. I might go Borderlands 2 or some other game. I'm looking forward for Borderlands 3. And I'm hanging out on Skreezilla Discord usually nowadays, because I don't have my own Discord. And I like the people there, so if you wanna come talk or something, I'm over there. So have a great day.